What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bibco, the Big Iron Beef Company. So right here, I have a prime New York strip. I don't go any other way than prime. I'm always going to be a prime guy. And New York strips are some of my favorites. I really love the structure, the fat content, especially on these prime cuts. We are going to cook this thing black, and not in the way you're probably thinking. So let's get into it. We cook this New York strip as we go black mode, dark mode, if you will. We're gonna go through what we're gonna be using, right? Our normal salts, peppers, our secret sauce right here. But this steak, it is a prime New York strip. I picked this up from a local butcher called Butcher Block Meats here in Chandler, Arizona. They have terrific, tremendous selections. If you go back and watch some of our other content, that's all we've cooked so far. So when we go into our New York strip, let's bust this bad Larry out. Oh, baby. So this has been sitting out for the better part of about an hour, about 45 minutes, and you can see we got that prime fat content throughout this New York strip. Let's get into our process here. So in the process of leaving your steak out in an ambient room like this, you're gonna start to see sometimes you may see it looks like condensation where the steak appears to be wet. Totally fine. It does affect your process though. If the steak's too wet, you don't get that dry brine that we were looking for in our salt and pepper and beef tallow. So taking a napkin like this, just going through and dabbing that moisture off the top is going to make sure that we don't have anything unwanted on there. Again, this is a little bit more of the, psychopathic, sociopathic tendencies that you see, that you associate with butchers, but there's that control measure there, right? We want to control all the variables and control all the elements going into our beef so that way we can come out with the most consistent and delicious product on the other side. Now, what are we cooking with today? We have our steak. We have our prime New York strip. Look at that, Larry, right there. Okay. Typically, I go with 1 or 2 salts. In our last video, we used our it's some French salt company. It's delicious. The way that the grain of salt actually gets into the meat really accents and brings out that flavor. We love that. If you don't have access to that, if you're really just using stuff that you got around the house, do not use iodized salt. Iodized salt is really fine. Really, it doesn't. It's not going to do what you need it to do. It's overkill. What's really popular, and especially if you are a woman out there, most women are iron deficient. I always recommend pink Himalayan salt. Now, interesting enough about pink Himalayan salt, the reason it's pink is because of the iron content in the salt. So it's essentially the oxidization of the iron in the salt that turns it pink, similar to rust. That's why it's so popular, especially with my wife, my mom. They're always cooking with that pink Himalayan salt. They prefer meals cooked with that pink Himalayan salt because of the iron content. So if you're an iron deficient person, pink Himalayan salt is money. But that's not what we're using today. Today, it is dude, I get the salts with that I can never. It's LA salt, black salt. So this is Hawaiian sea salt that has been, black lava salt is solar dried sea salt with activated charcoal added to obtain the dramatic coloring. Sprinkle on roasted vegetables, barbecue, or baked goods. And you can see here in our little baggie, it's black. And that's what I mean by we're going black today. And I got to tell you, I've done this before. Once you go black, you never go back. Accompanying our salt, we also have regular cracked pepper and Wagyu beef tallow. This is always going to be the cheat code. You're always going to see me cook steaks with this. Unless It's not available, or I'm trying something new, kooky, and adventurous. But not the case today. So in our steak preparation, right, we're gonna start off with that good blackened Hawaiian lava salt. This stuff is awesome, and it is unique because it really does turn this entire steak black. So, I mean, be it that it is a more limited quantity, I'm a little bit more conservative, but if I had more, I'd use more. Let's see. You can see that charcoal is activated in there. And as you're rubbing it in, right, what you want to see and how you know that your steak is at the right temperature is you start to see that fat from the steak actually start to render and turn into tallow sitting on top. You'll start to see that separation. What's so neat with this black salt is how it renders and turns black from the charcoal and from the salt. It's awesome. It also, I don't know, maybe it's the charcoal, maybe it's just the process, but what you'll see too is that the char on your steak is phenomenal. Now, today we're gonna be using a Bark River knives. This is just something that it's been a piece of kit. It's been camping. It's been everywhere and done everything. But this is a really good knife, and we are going to use this baby right here to score our steak. And we're just dragging that blade across to create a little bit more surface area and allow that heat to go more concentrically through the steak and create a more consistent cook all the way through. That's really what we want to see. Because we don't want to see any gray rings around the edge or anything like that. We want to see consistent pink all the way through. All right, we're going to add some Wagyu tallow and a little bit of pepper. Like I said, this steak is going to look black. But I guarantee you, if you're able to get some of this stuff, it is phenomenal. Flip that Larry over, and you can see the contrast now, how black it actually is. Now, the reason I like to massage this salt in with my hands is because the heat from your hands is actually going to help work the salt into the grain of the meat a little bit better. It's similar, like if you've ever polished shoes. When you apply polish to your shoes, you want to use the heat from your hands because it gets it into the grain of the leather better, and you get a deeper polish and shine. Likewise, we want this salt to work its way into the meat, and we also want that heat from our hands and the friction from our hands to help render that fat and that tallow. And just drag it across. Throw on a little tallow, a little pepper. And once our grill is up to temperature, this is gonna be ready to go. Like I said, guys, we are going all black on this steak, except for, of course, the actual finish on it. We're gonna make sure that's nice, red, pink, juicy, all the good adverbs or adjectives that you could use to describe a steak. That's what we're gonna be using here. But we got our Blackstone here. We wanna bring it to about 300 degrees. I usually put on 2 burners just because I like a little bit of that. A little bit fuller heat when it comes to my heat source. Our steak's ready to go, but first we're going to prep it just a little bit by throwing a little bit of the magic on here. Now, when it comes to our actual heat source, application of heat, control is everything. We want to make sure our temperature is around about 300 degrees. 285 to 315, kind of somewhere right in that pocket. When we go to throw our steak on, that's when timing becomes everything. I'm a big watch guy. I will time my steaks with my watch. It is a practical use for it. So we're going to throw this bad Larry on. We're going to set our dive bezel to track 5-minute intervals. And we're going to do it right here at the top of the minute. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. So you can see here, hopefully this focuses in, we have our bezel set timing it for 5 minutes. Now, the way I usually go about it is we're going to do 5 minutes on each side. 5 minutes, flip. After that second 5 minutes, that's when we're going to start taking temperature with the digital thermometer. We want to do that because, again, that's that control aspect. You could be Hank Hill and kind of go by the firmness of your palm based on which finger you're touching. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to be scientific, methodical, thorough. So 5 minutes on each side. If it's not up to temperature, and we're going for a medium rare, so it's going to be about 130 to 135 degrees, a little bit less than that. That's when we're going to start flipping it every 2 minutes after, and if it's still not at its temp, every 1 minute after that until we reach that desired temperature. That's going to ensure that we get a thorough cook all the way through. We don't have any heat lines. It's not too cold in the middle. It's not too hot on the grill. And it's going to give us a really fantastic crust. And that's where that scoring comes in. So I'm going to close this, kind of create a little bit of an oven effect. And we'll check back in 5 minutes. All right. So at this point, our steak has been on for 5 minutes. Let's check it out. Dude, I freaking love that Himalayan, or not the Himalayan salt, but the Hawaiian salt, man. It looks so cool on the grill. We'll give it a flip here. We're going all black, baby. We'll get a little steak ASMR here. And let's, just for good measure, give it a little bit of extra love on the grill there. Add that flavor. All right, we're gonna close this. Check back in another 5. All right, we are at 10 minutes. Let's check on this bad Larry. Oh my gosh, that looks good. We'll do a little. Oh, not that much. There we go. Okay. Dude, that black salt, man, just looks amazing. So now what we're gonna do, I got a little thermometer here. It's pretty inexpensive. You can get them at Walmart. We're just gonna check the temp. Check that internal temp. Our goal in the thickest parts of the steak, or the most concentric part, or throughout the whole steak, is we want to see about 129 degrees. So right now we're at about 116, which is good. That's real good. 133, 131, 130. So that's the thinner part. Here's our thicker part up here. Get one more temp read. Yeah. So what we'll do is, as you can see, we're just a little bit past 10 minutes. Here in about 1 more minute, we're going to flip it, and then really in about 30 seconds we're going to flip it. And then give it another 2 minutes, start taking temp again, and hopefully it's at temp. It's a little bit thinner than normal. This is about a little bit less than an 1.5 inches, 1 3/8 inches, right about there. But as you can see, dude, that crust is exactly what you want. You can see that surface area opening up, getting that good heat all the way through. We're right about 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and flip this bad layer. And we'll give another 2 and check back in. All right, giving it 2 more minutes. We're going to go ahead and flip. And get some temps. Right there, dude. That's money. Right over 130. Yeah. That thick part of the steak. Bringing it in right around 135. That's perfect right there. So let's take this guy off. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That is what I'm talking about. Okay, so our steak is in off the grill. Let's walk back through the process that we went through. So first we got it out of the fridge, brought it to an ambient room temperature. Really, you want it somewhere around 60, 65 degrees on the steak. That's gonna give you the best results. It's not gonna start falling apart or anything like that when you try and actually massage that salt in. But that's gonna be the best preparatory temperature for the steak. You also don't want your steak to be too cold when you go to put it on heat, because if it's too cold, that center isn't going to cook concentrically with the rest of it. After we had it up to room temp, we started our prep work that involved our black lava salt. It's a salt with some charcoal and lava and Hawaiian aloha magic, right? It's phenomenal. But we're going all black on this steak. So not only do we have the black salt, but our black pepper, pretty standard stuff. And mixing it all together with a little bit of A5 Wagyu beef tallow. And that's really where the magic happens. Your steak taste is dependent on the fat content and what that consists of. So even if you have a great steak like this prime New York strip, right? Dude, I'll go down to the New York strip club, throw dollar bills all day when these things start dancing. However, you can always cheat that flavor with Wagyu tallow because it's adding and enriching that fat content. You can take the crappiest choice steak from Walmart and make it at least taste worth $2 with that tallow. So then we go and we put it on the heat. We brought our Blackstone up to about 300 degrees, and then we applied heat for 5 minutes on each side, right? Adding tallow as we went, just giving a little spray down as we flipped it. After 10 minutes, so one side, 5 minutes, the other side, 5 minutes, flip it back over for 2 minutes and start taking that temperature. We want to see that temperature be right around 130 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to give us a perfect medium rare. What we ended up doing, we did 5 minutes, flipped it for 2 minutes, another 2 minutes, and at that point, we are getting 134 degrees at the thickest part of the steak and 144 degrees at the thinner part of the steak, which is really going to give us that perfect top end medium rare, low end medium, which is exactly where you want a New York strip. It's really going to hang on to that flavor, lock everything in, and it's also going to have a really good rigidity. Maybe not rigidity is the word, but it's going to have really good structure to the meat as you cut into it. As you're, whining and dining and impressing people, whoever you're cooking for, it's going to have a really good structure to it. Then we brought it in. We're going to let it rest for 7 minutes. We're a few minutes into that already. And once we let it rest for 7 minutes, we're going to cut into the steak and get that cross cut, get the money shot, get that juicy money shot. And that's what we're going to cut to right here. All right, so our steak has been resting here for about 7 minutes. The reason you want to let it rest is you want everything to settle in, and your steak is still cooking. You want to let it cook. You want to let it finish what it's doing. We're going to take our knife here, our Bark River, and make those first cuts. Let's see here. Dude, we're just going to go straight down the middle, right here. Moment of truth. Oh my gosh, dude, look at that. This is exactly what you want to see. No gray ring around. A perfect crust. I mean, it is pulling against that blade of my knife, but you see it's just pink all the way through. There's no gray ring. That means that it wasn't too hot on the grill and it wasn't too cold in the center of the steak. That's exactly what you want. Let's finish slicing this thing up and freaking tear into it, man. I can hardly wait. Oh my gosh. Actually, I'm going to eat that right now. And you can see too, like, it's not just one part of the steak. It's the entire steak. This is what it's all about, man. Like, you can't go to Texas Roadhouse and get this. You can't go to Longhorn Steakhouse and get this. Hell, you can't even go to legitimate, well-to-do steakhouses and get this quality of product. They usually use an oven, and at the end of the day, they are mass producing their steaks. They're having to feed quite a few people. This is what you want, and you want to be able to do it every single time. You want that juice, you want that crust, you want that consistency. This right here is money. All right, guys, let me know what you think. This was our New York strip all black, where we use blackened sea salt, black pepper, and a black stone to give something with a real dark black crust, but that perfect medium rare all the way through. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this something that you want to try? Did you try it yourself? And how did it turn out for you? As always, make sure you like and subscribe for more amazing steak content just like this. This is how you get the perfect steak every time. With the Big Iron Beef Company. Holy crap, dude, that's good.